into this. All right, man. Everybody, welcome back to the episode. Another episode on the Bodybuilding News Network. Very, very excited to bring you guys the number one requested athlete spotlight, or you're an athlete. We can say an athlete spotlight. The Dominator. How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's like I said before we started recording. It's a pleasure. So, no, I don't think anyone doesn't know who you are, but for the people that may not know who you are, who are you? What do you do? What have you done?
Well, as far as the bodybuilding YouTube scene's concerned, I'm just a regular guy. Started a channel about 5 years ago. There was a bit of a opening I saw in the market where, Louis Marco was doing his thing for a while, a number of years there, and then he was kind of the only one, like the only independent person doing the bodybuilding commentary thing, right?
Right.
So I kind of followed in his footsteps, and when I started my channel, even Nick Strength and Power was like, I'd never heard of him. He had less than
he was
20,000
still, yeah, he was still really small.
Yeah. So he was pretty much nobody at that time as well. And yeah, so I've been going for about 5 years now, just really just giving my honest opinions and stuff. It's nothing more than that. I only competed once in a natural bodybuilding show, and wasn't really for me, but I definitely enjoy watching the pros do their thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you started out doing mostly like kind of like bodybuilding content.
Yep. Like my channel from day one has been just commentary, analysis, just opinions, like honest opinions, and that's pretty much the basis of it. Now I guess I'd say I specialize now in kind of like doing contest breakdowns, going into a lot of depth and stuff, which many channels don't. They tend to kind of just give you the news and summarize the contest, but I try and break it down a little bit more than that in whatever way I can, whether that's helpful or not. But I guess some people enjoy it. So,
I mean, we love it, man. What got you into making that decision to really hyper focus on the commentary and the analysis? Because that's what a lot of people really know you for.
Yeah, that to me, that was always the most interesting part of it. And I respect you guys who want to do the news updates and stuff, but it's just that takes a ton of work. You have to be on the ball like 24/7. And I knew that I never wanted to do that because for me, this is more of a side hobby. So I didn't want to kind of get on that hamster wheel where you can't really get off it once people have come to expect that from you. So I guess I felt this was the way I could kind of differentiate my channel from many of the others.
Mm-hmm. And I think from just me thinking about it, there really isn't, even to this day, another channel that does breakdowns and analyses like you do, unless you know of any.
Not on a regular basis. I mean, sometimes, the guys on RX Muscle will kind of dive into it in a little more depth.
But again,
that's kind of like, yeah, even then, not quite as much. And it's not like a regular thing, I would say, with them. It's just kind of that they might have been at the show in attendance, and then they're kind of just giving their recap of it afterwards. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And Dave, all respect to Dave and his crew, they do a great job at what they do. But I've always wondered, did you have any kind of formal education coming into bodybuilding where you could understand the small nuances of each pose and each transition? How did you get that detailed eye for it?
Just practice, I guess. Like I was saying, I watched Louis Marco for many years, back in the early 2010s and stuff when he was kind of on top of the scene. So I picked up little things from him. I picked up things from guys like Chris Aceto, watching them give their take, and even just the commentators at the Olympia and stuff, whether it's Sean Ray or there's been other people in the past who were pretty insightful. So I just kind of paid attention to what they were saying. And yeah, then I tried to break it down as best I could. And for sure, I made a lot of mistakes and unpopular calls over the years. I think I've gotten better at it, but it's still very much like every time I put out a video, it's like, I hope I didn't miss the mark with this call, but because there's so much nuance and subjectivity in it, right?
Right. There's so much nuance, the subjectivity, like you said. Um, when you are making your predictions and you look at a lineup, are you thinking of what the judges are going to do for placing, or is it more how you feel the judging and the placing should go?
If I'm making predictions for a show, I'm definitely trying to put myself in the judges' shoes because at the end of the day, they're the ones who determine the placings, right? So
Right.
if it was up to me, I'd probably lean towards more aesthetic bodybuilders and not care so much about the conditioning elements. But that's not how they judge it. So,
Right. How do you think with I guess this would be a good transition. Josh, you're not even supposed to talk about transition. It's supposed to be fluid. I used to teach a leadership course for the Army, and I remember one of my instructors would always say, "I promise you, this was going to be a really good transition," and then they click to the next slide. So I just kind of, it's a mannerism. But how do you feel about kind of the changing, or potentially is there a changing of the guard when you look at someone like a big Ramy for the Open and a Sean Clarita for the Classic? CBUM kind of is the there to stay, in my opinion. But how do you feel that these new champions could alter how the judges are judging shows, especially leading up to the Olympia?
it's tough to say. I don't think either one of them has really altered anything at this point in time. Big Ramy and Clarita won last year because they were in probably the best shape of their lives, conditioning wise, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it wasn't a mass thing for Ramy. I mean, because he's always been massive, and this is the
Yes.
first time he actually pulled it off. So I think, yeah, I don't see any major changes to the formula at this point, but we'll see. I mean, time will tell, right?
Yeah. Okay. Because I feel like I've noticed a kind of a change in the guard with the 212. I don't know how or why, but like I just became a really big 212 fan over the last 2 years, I think it is. I've noticed kind of like the more streamlined physiques, the smaller midsections, the big flaring quads, like those
Right.
guys are getting that look compared to somebody like, I hate to always roast this guy, but I think his name is Ahmad Ashkanani. Like he always, when I think of prior to 12, that's what I think of is Ahmad Ashkanani. Like
Right. Yeah. A
big,
little
not so
more,
much conditioning.
blocky. Yeah.
Blocky. Yeah, that's a good one. Blocky.
Yeah. I think what happened in 212 or what's happening is as these guys cross over from classic, they
Yes.
bring that more streamlined look. And as long as they have enough muscle that they can stand next to these bigger guys and they're in good condition, they can do really well, like the George Petersons and the Keon Pearsons,
Mhm.
right? Like these guys are winning shows and stuff there. So I think that the trend is kind of changing a little bit in that division. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like how you said maybe not so much in the Open, because Big Ramy's always been Big Ramy. I mean, shoot, I always forget his actual name so much.
Yeah.
He's called Big Ramy. He didn't win an Olympia for the last like decade,
Yeah.
but then once he kind of switches gears, switches how he's approaching that Olympia prep, then he wins the Olympia. So
Mhm.
do you think that that is a shot across the bow for the rest of the competitors to focus more on conditioning over mass or fullness?
I think that they always knew that. It's just a matter of actually getting your timing right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you really have to peak at the right moment, right? Easier
Mhm.
said than done. So I don't think it's a matter of them not knowing. I think it's just, yeah, I have no idea, to be honest, all the subtleties and stuff that go into it in terms of the drug game and the carb manipulation and all the things that they do prior to a show. So I'm not really the one to provide insight on that element. But yeah, I think that these guys know what they need to do. It's just a matter, can you actually get the job done?
Right. And that's been a big thing with these athletes changing coaches so much, is they don't give the coaches enough time to really understand that athlete's body and how it reacts to different protocols, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah. Even with the trainers too, like it's interesting. Ramy was training with Dennis James years ago, right? I think he went through at least 2 or 3 different trainers in the interim, and now he's back with DJ. You know, they won Olympia training together last year. So imagine if you had stuck with him the whole time. Maybe he could have pulled it off sooner.
Yeah, that big what if.
Yeah.
Or if somebody just figures it out, like Kamal, like what was it that made him win that Olympia? Was it just like the right place at the right time? Or I'd have to look into his coaching history because I'm not sure. I think he's with Farah. Can't remember, but like I've always wondered with that guy because he's been around for a minute and then he just randomly just 1 year gets it.
Well, I think that was the year that Flex Lewis wasn't doing it anymore.
Yeah, so and Lewis was helping him too.
Yeah, because I believe the year before, I think it was 2018, was Flex Lewis's last 212 outing. Right. And yeah, Kamal was second to him that year. And then I believe it was Lunsford.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one Olympia I actually went to.
Wow. Yeah. In Vegas?
Yeah.
Wow, how was that?
It was pretty cool. Definitely a different experience than what I was thinking it would be. I mean, the stadium was huge. So you always hear this thing where people are like, you have to be at the show or you can't judge it. You know, your opinions mean nothing unless you're there. And it's like, yeah, I was there. And I'll tell you what, unless you're sitting in the first couple rows, like right behind the judges, you can't see shit. So it's like you're looking at the Jumbotron anyway. So it really doesn't give you much advantage at all. I mean, I guess the Jumbotron, what was showing on that screen was probably coming through a little bit better than the live stream broadcast in terms of quality. It seemed a little bit brighter.
Okay.
But even still, like you're not really looking at them in the flesh unless you're in those first couple rows.
Right.
And at these big shows like the Olympia, you're not going to be sitting in those first couple rows because that's all industry insiders and ex-bodybuilders and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. You didn't get that media pass?
No way.
Was that kind of your intent coming into that Olympia? Was to be the Dominator, or was it to be a fan?
Just a fan. Yeah. I was happy that nobody recognized me, or if they did, no one came up to me. Like, I don't really want the spotlight. So
you didn't have a Dominator shirt on? You're like, I don't even have merch.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's kind of switch gears. Let's talk more about you. I'm not sure what you're comfortable with talking about, but like you said, this is kind of like a side hustle. So like, what do you do? You said you've competed once. So like, what do you do on the personal and civilian side?
So I still do enjoy working out a lot. And I actually watch these guys training as much as I watch them competing, just for inspiration, you know, ideas of which exercises I want to throw into my workouts, or, you know, little tips here and there. I've pretty much heard them all at this point, but sometimes you might forget something and, oh yeah, I haven't done that exercise in a while. Right. So maybe I'll try it out again. Aside from working out, I'm pretty introverted. So video games, reading, like in terms of my actual career right now, I'm doing technical writing, which again is quite a solo endeavor. It's mostly just writing documentation and user guides and things of that nature. So pretty dry, but yeah, but I can do it all remotely, so it's pretty nice.
That's the win, man.
Yeah.
I do IT in the Army, active duty, and nice. That's like my dream is one, I'd like to have the time and the flexibility to go to these shows, because that's where I want to see myself in 5 years, is doing the global MD, like doing those post-show interviews. Like I would love to do that for somebody, you know, maybe Flex hires me on, I don't know, or I can actually have my own network, which is kind of the intent here.
Yeah, cool.
It would be, that's the dream, but who knows? I mean, 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be a pastor. So I feel like it kind of evolves every 5 years.
Yeah.
But IT wise, my tangent, that's kind of my dream, is to, I don't think I'm going to do 20. I'm at 10 right now. And it's just like, is it worth it? I don't know. But I feel like I'd rather just get the certifications that I'm working on right now, so that I can do like some tier 2 administrative work remotely. And I'm in the Silicon Valley, or not Silicon Valley. I'm in the Bay Area, San Francisco right now. And it's like stupid money. Just stupid money. So if I could get hired here and then work remotely like yourself, I think that'd be pretty sweet. But you said you did technical writing. Is that like, what kind of industry is that?
I guess it varies depending on what you're writing about, right? Like, so, you can do it for software, you can do it for manufacturing. So I'm covering basically online payment systems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like writing the code or the scripts?
Not even the code, you're kind of explaining, in certain cases, you'd be explaining the code to like a lay person or to other developers who want to use that, right? So you're just kind of, you're dealing with technical stuff, but you're trying to break it down into more, I guess, familiar or common terms so that anybody can understand it.
Okay. Make it simple, stupid?
Pretty much, yeah.
Or make it stupid, simple? If you say make it simple, stupid, people can
Keep
get
it simple,
a little
stupid.
Yeah, people can get a little offended by that one. Especially like the junior enlisted, like the younger soldiers, they get they're a little touchy nowadays. But that's okay. I'm still young. Okay. I want to stick with you because I want to learn a bit more about you. I'm being a little selfish in this interview. On the training side, like what's kind of your goal when you go into the gym?
My goal at this point, I'm 34 now. I'm not really gonna gain a ton of mass.
Oh, you're in the peak, man. You're peaking.
Yeah, not for naturals. I'm not.
I hear you.
So at this point, I train mostly for maintenance, to be honest. Maintenance and just little improvements here and there. I've learned to really enjoy the process, like the pump, the contraction, like the mind muscle connection element of it. Mm-hmm. And I feel exercise is so much better than I did like 10 years ago, or even maybe 5 years ago in some cases.
What do you think why do you think that is?
Just practice, I guess. Yeah, I think it's just like years and years of just focusing. Yeah.
Have you had any like serious injuries to like sideline you and make you rethink your approach to training?
Yeah, I blew out my back a couple of years ago, so that was not fun. Just doing like rack pulls. I was in the Smith machine, so that probably wasn't the smartest place to be doing that. But I've seen other pro bodybuilders do it, so I was like, why not? Can't hurt. Yeah, it hurt.
It did hurt.
So I was out of commission for like a week. Went to the doctor. I thought maybe I slipped a disc or something because the pain was like so bad I could not bend over to tie up my shoes.
Yeah.
Ended up just being like a pulled muscle or something. So they gave me some painkillers, some muscle relaxants. But even still to this day, it's so easy for me to retweak that. So at that point, is when I invested in a belt.
Yeah.
Never worn one prior to that. Just didn't feel the need, but it definitely helps. But even with a belt, sometimes it's just like it's cheap. I think it was $40. I got it off Amazon, so it's nothing special. It's not like a proper powerlifting thing.
Oh, sure.
So it's not going to it won't prevent you from getting injured. It'll help decrease the chances that it's going to happen. But I've still tweaked my back while wearing the belt. So, so yeah. Luckily, no knee issues or anything else like that, though. So.
That's good. Wow.
I just gotta be careful when I'm doing things like squats or
right
like that. That's putting a lot of heavy bent over rows, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with you on that. I've noticed, especially the more I get kind of smarter into training and the more I start moving towards NPC level competing, squatting, back days, I've got to separate them because there's so much thoracic tension and you're just putting so much tension on your CNS, your central nervous system. It's like you got to separate it, and that's something I've learned probably this year because I used to train 6 days a week, and then I had Kareth Bajo, 212 guy. He's qualified for Olympia. He said, "Hey man, you're natural. You should not be training 6 days a week."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. And then I had Tony O'Burton on, and he's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't. No. And then like the more like elite level pros I had on, they're just like, okay. And then I just started like taking information. I'm like, I need to kind of back off. So I added an extra rest day. I put a rest day between my leg day and my back day. And I, on my personal channel, I post physique updates, and wow, like I've noticed just the whole physique just completely transform, like muscle areas getting like fuller, and back and legs, and I strained my hamstring in June. So I'm still recovering from that. That sucks.
Yeah.
But the big takeaway, guys, everyone watching, is just be intentional about your training, and have a structured approach and research. Have you ever heard of Dr. Mike Israetel?
I have not, no.
Oh man, he's good. Juggernaut Strength Systems, I think, is his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Wealth of knowledge. If you ever want to learn anything about, between him and Omar Isuf, they kind of do some stuff together, some collabs.
Yeah.
Fantastic content. Yeah, I'm YouTube certified on everything I've ever learned. He's either from like Alan Thrall, who's a strongman, Marine Corps vet out of Sacramento, Elliot Hulse, way back in the day.
I remember that guy.
Yeah. He's kind of like a yogi guy now or something. I noticed he's a little weird, but anyway.
He was a little out there, but he had some videos.
He had some good stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
Be a man. You got to breathe through your balls.
Yeah.
I love that one. Breathe through your balls. Okay, man. I appreciate you sharing. Some people don't really want to share who they are, so it's kind of cool that you're transparent on that one. Did you watch the Arnold UK?
I did not. I've just seen little bits here and there. I actually saw a video that you guys put out on the prejudging. I think it was just kind of the first call out, or when they were just bringing them out.
Yeah, the prejudging.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. I was thinking of covering it, but then I saw the lineup and I was like, it's Nathan Theash's like got this, like he should win this pretty easily.
Yeah.
Sure he did. I guess it was closer than a lot of people would have expected, but still not a very deep lineup compared to what we just saw at the Arnold Classic USA.
No, yeah, the Arnold Ohio was a show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that one. What was your thoughts on that one? Coming into it, were you kind of like a Nick fan?
Not at all. I knew he could do damage. I knew he could win it. I'm personally not an enormous fan of his physique. I think that he's just put together a little bit funny in terms of the proportions, like the limbs and the torso length and stuff like that. But the guy has muscle bellies for days. Crazy guns. Just amazing conditioning and detail on that physique. So he won it deservedly.
Yes. When he came out at the New York Pro, I was like, holy cow. That transition, that transformation from the Chicago to the New York, I was just like, and then when he stepped on the New York stage, I was like, it's lights out, especially from the back.
Oh, big improvements. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, what are your thoughts on the Olympia for Nick Walker? Do you think that the midsection and the veins are going to hurt his placings?
The veins, no. I don't even think the judges look at calves. And that's mostly where the varicose veins are.
Arnold definitely brought that up. Yep.
Yeah. The midsection, as long as he keeps it in check, which I expect he will. It's only been 2 weeks since the Arnold.
Yeah.
He put it in check there. So he's pretty wide through the waist, but it doesn't matter as long as it's not distended. He won't get penalized for that. So I think he will be in the top call out. Probably fighting for like I don't know, somewhere in that 3 to 5, 3 to 6 range. I think he's going to be hard pressed to win it outright, because there's so many. There's a few, not so many. There's a couple guys in front of him that he still needs to prove that he can beat, right? Like the Ramis and the Currys and the Hatties. So I think
the Hatties and the Akeem, or not the Akeems, the Hatties and the William Bonax. Seeing those three pocket Ramis is what I like to call that category.
Yeah.
I want to see those three guys like side by side.
Yep.
And then I guess that's another good transition. I have some questions here. I forget I have my questions, but What are your thoughts on Brandon Curry coming into the 2021 Mr. Olympia?
If he's done his homework and he shows up like he did last year,
Mhm.
he should be top three, no problem. He could conceivably win again if Big Ramy is off.
Okay.
Right, I think he's next in line. I mean, just going based on last year's placings in the last 2 years of the Olympia, like he's still the number 2 bodybuilder in the world.
Mhm.
So people can talk all the smack they want to about his legs or lack thereof, but I mean, his placings speak for themselves at this point. So
That is a thing, isn't it? Because the judges have, for one reason or another, have looked past the, especially from the back, the hamstrings and the calves. The judges have looked past it. So, you know, if history has told us anything about what we can expect from Brandon Curry, expect to see him probably fighting to get that Olympia title back.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, Ramy's so big up top, but Brandon is so wide, dense, and conditioned. People forget that on how wide, just how beautiful his back double is. Ramy, like one slip, even like 5%, could spell, you know, putting Ramy back in the Stone Age. Winter will not come.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I think Nick has a lot on his plate, but I like the energy, the intensity that he's taking into competing. He reminds me of a Jay Cutler in some capacities, especially structurally in some forms.
A little bit. I've heard that comparison a lot on social media. I can kind of see it, I guess. I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think Jay was a little
more
taller.
aesthetic.
I think he was a little bit structurally better. Nick, if anything, though, is showing that he's more, you know, grainy and conditioned than Jay typically was. I mean, Jay was off quite a bit throughout his career. Like he was off about as often as he was on, I'd say. So
yeah, and I always wondered. Now I'm not as a seasoned fan as someone like you. I'm still relatively new to our sport, but I remember watching Jay, and I always felt like, retrospectively watching, of course, he was always chasing Ronnie for the size. So he never had the chance to get that conditioning because he was always trying to have that fullness.
That's true. Yeah.
I think there was 1 year before he started chasing the size game. It was like, it must have been 2000, maybe like 2003, somewhere around there. I'm sure the Mark's Max Muscle, he'll let me know what year it is. But yeah, there was like 1 year where Jay Cutler was like really sharp, but he looked small.
Okay.
Comparatively.
Yeah.
Comparatively. Okay. Brandon Curry predictions. Ramy, is there anything Ramy can do to not win the Olympia? Just mess up, not show up?
Yeah, that's it. Like if he's doesn't nail it like he did last year, then he could lose. Like I'd say if he's anything less than 90%, he doesn't repeat. So I think he's got a little bit of wiggle room there in terms of he's the defending champ. So he could conceivably come in even a little bit worse than last year, still retain the title if nobody else absolutely knocks it out of the park.
Right.
Yeah, but if he improves at all, forget about it. It's game over.
Oh man, if he comes in with conditioning in the upper quads, lights out. Yeah. That's the only thing I could critique him for off of last year's.
Right.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Is that deep separation all the way into the posing trunks?
Yeah. And if he's dialed in from the back, like hamstrings and glutes, it's going to be tough for anybody to take him out.
And his glutes looked sharp last year. They just didn't have that the feathering, the separation.
Yeah, they're striated though still.
They were, yes. Yeah. Akeem Williams. What are your thoughts on Akeem Williams coming into this one? Probably lost some steam at the Arnold.
Yeah. Lost some momentum for sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see if he can turn it around. He's been a guy who's been pretty inconsistent with his conditioning. Last year he nailed it and got rewarded with 6th.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Yeah, I think right around there is probably about the best we can expect for him to do. I mean, he's got some weak points and he's got that thick skin even when he's like in the back, right?
Yeah.
Even when he's really dialed in, he just doesn't show a lot of definition or separation there.
No.
Not like how he does in the side of his thigh, right? When he turns into
Wow.
that
Yeah,
side
that
chest,
horse
it's
leg.
always crazy. Yeah. So like him and Big Ramy are probably the two best in that feature, right?
Yeah.
Roden
Well, I
as
mean,
well.
Ian has a good conversation for the side shots. He does
Uh,
some magic
Ian Valier, you mean? Okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't.
on the side shots. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not like a huge fan of Ian, at least his physique. His personality, love the guy. Great
Yeah.
person for our sport. The physique, I'm in that camp. Like, I just don't see it in the footage. I don't see it in the photos. And I feel like the conversation's been beaten to a horse so bad. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I know me and Ty, my co-host on some of these shows, he's like, it seems that Ian is being pushed with the judging, but I just don't know where that pushing is going to go, because when you get to the Olympia, the best of the best, you can't push somebody's physique past somebody's who's clearly better.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's hard to say if they're, you mean pushing like in a political sense because they
yeah,
want him. Yeah, I don't know how much of that is true so much as the judges are just absolutely obsessed with conditioning. And I think a lot of times Ian's conditioning is not as apparent in these live streams that we're seeing, and even in a lot of the photos,
yeah, I'd
which
agree
aren't
with
the best
that.
quality. Because sometimes you see some, footage that somebody's taken from the audience, and it's like, holy shit, this guy was absolutely ripped.
Yep.
Um, so I think the judges get a little too preoccupied with that sometimes at the expense of structure and proportion and all that other stuff that they should be paying attention to.
Yeah. If they spent a little bit more time in the front double and the back double, I think the placings could be different. But hindsight 2020. I want to cover. We talked about the 212 a little bit coming into this Olympia. Is Sean Clarita the favorite to defend, or are some of these younger guys coming in could really challenge it, or is Kamal like hot on the trail?
Yeah, I don't know what more Kamal can do. I thought he actually improved a little bit last year compared to the
Definitely.
year that he won. Still lost. I felt there was a pretty good argument that he could have won that Olympia as well. Not to take anything away from Clarita because he looked amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have gone either way, and I don't think there would have been a ton of backlash no matter who won that between those two. But now that Clarita has one, he's the defending champ. That's always gives you a bit of a leg up, even though it probably shouldn't. But it just seems to be the way that it works in pro bodybuilding. So
they always want that legacy piece. They want those repeat wins.
Yeah, and also the champion's the standard, right? So they're comparing everybody against Clarita now. He's the benchmark.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I forgot about that. Like the champion is the standard. It's not some arbitrary thing like maybe at like a New York Pro or something.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it is an arbitrary thing in the sense that they should be looking at all these criteria objectively, but I think it's just human nature that you're going to kind of want a reference point, right? And they're going to look to the champ for that.
Right. Okay. What's your rough prediction for the top 6 in the 212?
212 is a division I haven't followed all that closely. Let's see. Yeah.
I'll help you out.
So Clarita, Elgarny, those guys are going to be in the top 2. It'd be shocking if they weren't.
Yep.
I still think Derek Lunsford. That guy is he's like the big Ramy of that division. He just needs to nail it and he can win it.
Mm-hmm. And he's just so big.
Yeah, his structurally he's really good. He's crazy from the back and that back double bicep.
Yeah.
Like every year I see him and I'm like, this guy should be the champ in my opinion, but he never quite nails it, right?
Yep. Agreed.
I think Keon Pearson could be in that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I would say those are the guys I would peg for top 4. But again, I don't follow this division as closely as the Open. I didn't cover it in any other show this year, I don't think. So probably not the best person to ask about that.
That's fair. I like to get as much 212 content as I can, because I know it's criminally undercovered.
Yeah, definitely.
I like your top 4. It's really going to be tough for that 5 and 6, because you have a lot of really good competitors coming in here. Kareth Bajo, personal fan of mine, or I'm a personal fan of his. Sorry. Love his physique, the structure. He's big. He's got that old muscle. Well, not old, but seasoned muscle. So he has that good look. Ahmed El-Wardney, the guy who won the Texas Pro and placed second behind oh goodness, what's his name? Keon in Chicago. He placed second behind him. I really like him. Very grainy, very sharp. I would like to see those two in there. But then you also have someone like Noel Adame, who won the Mexico Super Show, I think it was, something like that. The Valente.
Yeah, that
He's
guy
really good too.
He had some crazy legs in that side chest. Like,
yes, his side shots. Wow,
the volume was nuts
for a 212. Yeah, in his chest, it's so bubbly and full. Right. It's like a Phil Heath chest in the 212. Right, he's heavily underrated. And then you have some dark horses like the really young guys. The Nathan Epler, new IFBB Pro, came in, crushed the New York Pro, I believe it was. In the 212, and then Tony O'Burton, another new pro in the 212, and he came into the Indy Pro and won it. So it's just like there's so much. I'm getting shivers thinking about it. There's so much good talent in the 212. This top 6, it's really up in the air. And you have someone like a John Jewett, who is the set, like the consistency, the benchmark for conditioning. You can't sleep on him either, because he's placed top 4. So
what about George Peterson? He was in that list, right?
Ooh, that's a tough one. George, now me personally, something about his physique just doesn't he is like and obviously no disrespect, I love these guys, I love this sport. George Peterson reminds me of a who's the guy who won the Cali Pro?
Patrick Moore.
He reminds me of a 212 Patrick Moore. Crazy mid-taper with a small waist, insane legs, and proportionately longer legs as well. So those two kind of, I like to compare the 212s to the Opens and like find those comparisons. But George Peterson.
Legs, what do you mean by that? I would say they're both a little bit light in the lower body.
Oh, you think so? Let's take a look. I might be wrong. Maybe from the back light.
Yeah, I think that's a
really good
pick. Like
that's classic. Yeah,
he's known for his back, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean he's brought him up for sure. Again, I think it's like Brandon Curry though, where you can definitely find a ton of pics where his legs look great, right?
Right.
But when you actually get him on stage and you see it in real time, you can see lots of moments where they don't look so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess this is a fool's errand trying to find bad shots.
Yeah. I mean, this is a
highlight reel,
promotional tool for these guys. They're not going to put bad shots.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I guess that'll be an interesting storyline coming into the Olympia, is because George placed 3rd. I think he placed 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, he was up there last year, right?
Yeah. So, like, is he going to stay in there? Because, I mean, how much more can he improve? Coming from the Classic, I knew his weight was heavier. And people always said, like, this guy's a bodybuilder in Classic. So, is he capped out? I don't know. I think there's always going to be a chance to, make something a little smaller here, make it a little bit bigger here. But time will tell. We're less than a week out from the Olympia. We're very close. Yeah, 5 days out. Crazy. Let's finish up with the classic physique because I know you got things to do today.
Sure.
What do you feel about the classic physique coming into the Olympia? Any shockers here?
No, I don't see any shockers. I think that this will be probably the most predictable division, right? Unless Bumstead screws up or something, but
Right.
but I'd be surprised at this point. I think Ruffin will be in the running.
Yep. Terrence.
I still think Breon will be up there, but he might, if anything, drop another spot. I'm not sure. The judges don't
really
seem to be
tough.
rewarding him anymore. So
no, and I thought he actually won.
He could have taken second last year, in my opinion. But
I thought he was going to win last year until I saw Chris actually get on stage, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Like how much he improved. I was like,
"Yeah,
I'll shut up. My bad, guys." Yeah, the Breon story is interesting because he clearly isn't getting the favor. So it's like, is classic physique passing him by? Should he transition to 212? Does he need to like suck down and like bring a smaller physique? Maybe like what comes to my mind is Courage Opara. Like I love his physique. So it's
he's underrated.
Classic's tough. Overrated?
Courage is underrated.
Underrated. Yeah. I thought his name was really popular like 2 or 3 years ago. And then like, I just really didn't hear much about it until I think it was the Arnold he did. And I remember seeing him, but the classic is so silly because there's just so many amazing physiques and they're all very close. And they just have like this small little nuance here that makes them different. That one's going to be tough. I think.
Do you have the lineup for that too?
Of course.
Yeah. Let's see.
And if you don't follow classic closely, you're going to get lost in this because there's an abundance. So many qualifiers. Peter Molnar is a beautiful physique, but I think that the Olympia or the Arnold kind of spoke to where he could be placing.
Yeah.
Alex Cabanero. Brian Jones, top 6.
Cabanero is also underrated. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel
no one pegs him as a winner or anything, and I don't expect him to beat Bumstead, but he could be in the top call out easily.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's an Arnold Classic champion. It's got to say something.
Yeah.
Danny Unin, I like his physique. Brady King, very beautiful physique. I think he needs a few more years to grow into that first call out.
I'm hoping this is the year Wesley does something. That'd be great. I always feel like he places too low. Even though he might not nail his conditioning, he's really good on a structural level.
Yes.
I would always place him higher than he gets placed. So,
and the thing is, he has something different. He brings a different look to the physique, to classic, and that should be rewarded since everything is so similar.
Yeah, after Bumstead, he's probably the most like unique, as you say. Like one of the guys that stands out the most to me in that division.
I think the uniqueness should be rewarded instead of penalized. There we go. Words are hard. Wesley, I'd really like to see him. If he got a first call out, I would be ecstatic.
Oh, it'd be great. I mean, he's got a huge following, so just from a marketing standpoint, it would be good. I'm not saying like don't reward him if he doesn't deserve it, but it would be good if he nailed it and he made that top call out.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Robert Timms.
I need to see a picture of this guy. I got you off the top of my head.
Robert Timms. I think he just won the Texas.
Okay.
He's an Air Force guy, so I'm just I have a little bit of a bias for veterans. But this guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I didn't know his name. I just, yeah, I recognize his Instagram handle.
Mhm.
Yeah, this guy's got some crazy muscularity.
Very big.
The biceps, I think his back doubles pretty damn good for this division. Yeah, that's
It's a lot of
of
muscle.
dense muscle. Yeah.
He
Yeah,
could,
yeah, he's pretty new, right? He
yes.
wasn't around and he wasn't at the Olympia last year,
I don't think he was,
I
no.
don't think. Yeah, he could do some damage.
Yeah. I think a first call out, sixth place would be really good for him. That would put a lot of fire behind, or wind, put a lot of wind behind his sail.
Right.
Coming into the Olympia. All right, man. I don't want to keep you too much longer. Do you have any, how can I word this better? How can the fans support you in the best way possible?
Just tune into my videos, I guess. I mean, people are already doing a good job at that. I know I've been MIA for, I haven't put out a lot of videos this year. I just took about a month off from publishing anything, which is the longest I've taken a break since I started the channel. Just starting to feel the fatigue a little bit. I already mentioned on Instagram, I might kind of, shut it down after the Olympia or after this year's up. So I'm gonna play it by ear though.
Okay. More of a short hiatus, or?
I think I'll definitely take a short hiatus and then I'll see how it's feeling. I'll probably still cover the big contests like the Arnold and the Olympia going forward. But yeah, it's just, I'm starting to feel like it's time for a change, time to move on to some other things. So
that's fair. Yeah, I mean, because we really appreciate your in-depth analysis. So it definitely will be missed, but if you decide to stay, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Me as a fan,
I feel like it's the YouTube bodybuilding scene's in a lot better spot than it was when I started the channel. I mean, there's a lot of voices now between yourself, desktop bodybuilding, Mark's Max Muscle, even. Yeah, so there's a lot of voices now, obviously Nick. So the fans are covered.
There's enough positive content out there to offset what used to be more of a clickbait gotcha stuff. The culture has changed and it's nice to see. So I'm happy to do my part. But Tomn8er, man, we appreciate you coming on. It was a personal pleasure of mine to do this interview with you. And I know that the fans will be very appreciative of what we did here today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Hopefully we can get to hear back from you maybe after the Olympia. Let us know. Do a breakdown or something. We'll see.
Sounds good.
Man. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the Dominator. And if you want to see more interviews like this, along with content coverage, overview, analysis, maybe not as deep as analysis as Dominator does, you can always subscribe here as well. But that's it, guys. All my links are in the description of the video. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Dominator, appreciate it, man. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.